Today we are going to look at some performance metrics on the new Odroid H5 computer which we assembled in the previous video. I've also installed Windows 11 Pro on this computer, along with the Passmark benchmarking software, which we will be using to compare this generation of Odroid with previous generations. One thing that I won't unfortunately be able to test today is the 10 gigabit Ethernet port, as unfortunately this is the only computer I have with such a fast networking port. I have also yet to acquire a network hub that can support 10 gigabit, so that testing will need to wait a while. So let us firstly have a look at the results we had in the H3 Plus generation of Odroid. This particular computer was expanded with a graphics card running off the single M2 slot. This meant that while it had improved graphics performance over the integrated graphics, it did need to use one of the inbuilt SATA ports for the SSD running the Windows operating system. We'll take this as our baseline and look for improvements. Now we can add in the results obtained from the H4 Ultra, firstly running in low power mode. While the H3 had a Pentium N6005 4-core processor, the H4 Ultra sported an N305 8-core processor, giving it a higher score in the CPU mark. This H4 Ultra was using the integrated graphics, and naturally scored lower than our graphics card expanded H3 Plus. The H3 Plus had DDR4 2933 memory, and the H4 Ultra sported the newer DDR5 4800, showing improvements in the memory tests. The marked improvement in the H4 Ultra's disk performance is likely down to it using the 4 PCIe lane M2 SSD, as opposed to the H3 Plus using a SATA-driven SSD. Measuring the H4 Ultra in turbo mode while using more power, which is now reported as 15 watts TDP as against the H3 Plus's 10 watts of TDP, it does show marked improvement across the board, especially in the CPU performance. All of this made the H4 Ultra a significant upgrade to the H3 Plus. And now we can have a look at the performance of the H5 Odroid, which sports an 8-core N300 processor and a TDP of only 7 watts. In memory, the H5 has the same as the H4, DDR5 4800. One very significant difference from the H4 Ultra is the M2 slot. While the H4 Ultra had a single M2 slot with 4 PCIe lanes, the H5 has 4 M2 slots, 3 of which have 2 lanes each, and 1 slot with a single PCIe lane. The N300 is a newer processor than the N305, and is reported to be about 15% slower in multi-threaded testing, and 6% in single-threaded, running at a lower clock speed. It does, however, use less power, and theoretically should need less cooling. This is reflected in the results here. However, the 3D mark for the H5 is significantly higher, which does seem strange as there is meant to be no difference between the two processors in integrated graphics hardware. So is the H5 generation of Odroid a good purchase? Well, while Hard Kernel is hoping to still produce the H4 series when the global supply chain for CPUs settles down, you will find difficulty in purchasing an H4 Odroid at the moment. The H5 Odroids, however, are still in good supply, and ideal where you need to host multiple SSDs in the 4 M2 slots that come as standard on this motherboard. Although the H5 has no SATA ports, we did a video on the basic H4, which also has no SATA ports, and expanded it to use an M2 to SATA board, allowing up to 6 SATA SSDs or spinning hard disks to be added, albeit with the addition of a power supply. And this approach will also work with the H5. The low-power credentials of the H5 may well lend themselves to edge computing devices, where the additional M2 slots will provide flexibility, and the 8-core N300 processor more than enough for number crunching. That's it for today. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching today's video. Please feel free to click on the link in the description below to discover more videos.